Okay, so today is Friday, December 11th, 2020. It's not going to be a very pleasant broadcast, but it is what it is. It's an update as to what's going on, since nothing in a uniform with lapel bling has been successful in any route or manner since I arrived, and before. Now, there's dangerous science that's quiet, that is not to be studied, not to be discovered, not to be known about. There are reasons why. Yet, the Planetary Advisory Committee seems to think that paperwork and stacked charges and ruining one another's reputations seems to sit on a higher importance than the unbeknownst people in the wildlife department, meaning 100% of humans. Those wearing uniforms with vintage and like beautiful bling of nobody knows how to read it in the schmutz and the shit on the bottom of your shoe in prison, people like myself. We don't know how to read any of that. So I give it like truncated names. So this way, the ones that sit council get their fucking part right and stop arguing with each other. So now, here we are. I speak on behalf, as always, whether I'm in front of you or whether I'm by myself, on behalf of the shit on the bottom of the shoe that doesn't matter to anybody. Now, when I arrived in I have a DOB. The numbers are equivalent to, for this per se, 83198. End memo. Done. The reason for that is on the CLOCKE, it cannot be spun certain ways. D'accord. It is to hold separate and singularity from the humans. All right, so here's what happens. There's what I call REM. I'm giving it a name for now, and then I'm wiping the name off so it is unsearchable, because I don't need more breakage in human stupidity for the fundamentally challenged. Nobody's challenging you. You're not that important. You are to sit there, shut up, and if they ask for your signature, you fucking sign it, and we move on. Done. I don't know you. I didn't see you. I don't care. I'm not researching you. Nobody cares what your brother looks like, your sister looks like. Nobody's coming after your kids. You are not that fucking important, so shut the fuck up. D'accord? Dream state realm work. Same woman. This is where I live now. We'll say it. The color, lavender, earth, world, Nicole Cattaruzza, Reich Burza, storm. I'm a boar, neon. That is my spiritual realm equivalency, which I will explain. And then it's born planet Earth. It's an ear. You all are born with two ears. Some are just born with a hole. Some are born and then they cut them off to try to get cute. We're not going on specifics. If you live on a planet that has other things with two ears, it's Earth. I had a man by the name of actually, might be man, might be woman, I don't know. I don't count holes. CALDO. They were in charge of the watch clock for Romer, ROEMER, for the making sure that the Romer, ROEMER, whomever Romer was closest to my vicinity, never made it into my area. Pathway was never supposed to cross with a roamer, ever. Secondly, there was a man or a woman by the name of Fredo, Freddo. That person was in charge of watch clock for Teofrio, TEOFRIO. I was not supposed to run path and experience anything to do with Teofrio. Do you understand? My life path was with my Saint Lieutenant, and I was his Lucy Lute, as he pulls me off of a camel, and then he squeezes me and tells me how much he loves me, and he wants to eat me, and I say, I love you, and I want to just, I bury my head into his chest. You understand? That is my born for. He carries inside his being a borneon, for which I am the equivalent when we are not this in spiritual, whatever we do elsewhere. My bore goes into his bore, and then we travel. And that's just it. That's as much extraterrestrial life forms that you're ever going to find out about. But while we are in human form, I look, well, I didn't, this is mostly what he looks like, but with like an age enhanced. I came to this world looking like I did riding that camel before he pulled me off and hugged me. I have several of those examples because I know you guys are really disgusting with your vernacular and your pun. There then comes into vernacular for this one purpose only, and then I will never mention it again. There is a thing they say about women, they call it camel toe, CAMELTOE. It is a vulgar, disgusting, whatever, however, it is tuned into the dial of the file for which the problem arose. So there's he and I in that one image in the dream state realm work. That would be dream state realm work for myself. I am experiencing problems while I'm human here with your employment issue with either zookeeper or wildlife being human on the earth, where you all have a set or a pair of these, or you have people around you that wear these. That's how you know you are on earth. The TH is for Planck's constant. We are in one dome together. It's a closed circle. It's a closed sphere. Nobody's getting out, and then there's an H over it. For the pins that are here. Because I'm dealing with this issue, which is hard enough to explain. If it used to be congruent Rubicon and Rubik's Cube of one color here, one color here, one color here, then the wildlife and zookeepers at human were like, wait, you mean color like covering epidermis, like skin cover, like for the ears, like the outer of the earth, the epidermis of the earth. Okay, so no, I wasn't talking about your skin color. I know that jumps in. When I speak, I will only address skin color if it's important. At this point, you all are in a aquatic oxygen tank. No matter what color you are, it's one ATF cup of, I don't know, it all looks like I can't tell their color difference if they're all mixed in one flagella cup and they haven't been baked yet. I'm still responsible for the earth breathing arrangement with whatever gets baked up next. They're all important to someone somewhere. So we're just going to put the cup of the flagella that haven't been baked yet to the side, because they're all important, and we have to talk about the breathing apparatus of where they'll wake up if we can get this arranged. Because somebody keeps taking my color chart of fixing the holes in time and space, which is what those are, and as I try to move them back together in congruency and sew and seam them as a tailor together, they then come up with some bright idea somewhere. They enter the system without the rest of us knowing, because they're not allowed process, but you keep telling me that everything in the cup is equal as far as touching my system. This is my level of equipment. I am a white woman, blanco, de color blanco. My eye, see that? Lacrimal. There is no, I have cat eyes. There is no, in my eye, there is no going into the side of, it does not go flat across and go straight in. I actually have a separated lacrimal. You want to say a deviated lacrimal? Fine. It just doesn't go into the deviated septum that you guys are creating by moving all the money to one side and then letting all the children study to one side and they don't look anything like me. I will never come to a human form in any other color, in any other visual reference other than what I'm wearing at the moment, which I share with my betrothed, and then my son, Alexander James Romer, since now we're in a broken system. What caused this is Romer and Teofril. Those are the names I'm putting on them, because I have to have a definitive spot from which then to build a conceptual understanding for management in order to get the legislation written the way I need. And I don't need study. I don't need input. I don't want recommendations. I'm telling you how it is. That is it. You write it. You sign it. It's done. My face, I'm 8-hole. There's a 7-hole version of me. Genetically, he's tall. Again, he's known as Niklaus, Niccklaus. He's known as Eric. That could be spelled E-R-I-C-H, E-R-I-K, E-R-I-C-K, or E-R-I-C. I think that those are the only ways that Eric is spelled for the purpose of a nom, N-O-M, or a N-A-M-E, if you're putting a lapel bling together. All right, but he has the same visual genetic face, always. There is another dream state work he and I put together where I'm in, my son Alexander James, he looks separate than I do at this point, but it's what I look like when I was born, before my face changed with the environment in the matrix. So that face, I call it a Gunder face, G-U-N-D-E-R, genetically. My uncle Edward was born that way. My mother was born that way, and I was born that way. Craig was my cousin Craig Gunder was born with brimstone eyes, and he was cusped for perfect symmetry. My eye was having trouble discerning, but then again, his sister, who does not qualify for anything, was next to me. So I don't know if she was pulling what I was trying to do as far as measurements of him to send in, but whatever. So, okay, so I'm going to stick with what I have. So I have Alexander James Romer as a visual reference since the day he was born. He's supersymmetry perfect on whichever, and his eye de color is muy perfecto for the king cobra in Greystone, which is what I am. Then I have Mr. Amber, which is like a fire amber. When you burn charcoal and then it burns out, or the wood, it looks like a burning ember, A-M-B-E-R. Also, there's the sap that looks like amber. And then there's the, I call that brimstone, B-R-I-M-S-T-O-N-E, because he's like fire and brimstone. Yeah, he sure is. He's a king cobra. He's like, yeah. Right. So, anyway, so now that's how he comes in his eye. There's a gentleman by the name of Michael Hewson, M-I-C-H-A-E-L. He has the supersymmetry of perfection that he's not Gunder, he's not Eric, and this version of Cattaruzza that I share with Eric. He is something else. He goes by the last name H-E-W-S-O-N, but I don't know how many Hewsons there are in the world. He's the only Hewson I will recognize. And I got to think about this. So I have Michael Hewson's beautiful, perfect symmetry, because I need references. He is one for Brimstone. Then I have my Alexander James Romer as a visual in this broken set. Those are the labels. And then for visual acuity. And then there is Eric, which is, now the night I dated Eric, the reason why he only has Eric Match, M-A-T-C-H, is because my Cobra eye, which I know one man gets mad, he's like, she's a woman, she can't be a Cobra. Actually, she is. She just won't call herself King Cobra for this particular kingdom quarry. So as I watched him, he had gingham check on in the car, and he was bald. Now I'm looking at him, and I'm going, now he tells me he just shaved his head. And I'm like, now when humans shave their head for the first, it's usually really light, like light white, it's discolored. And then you have your, whatever goes out in the sun, it's slightly darker. And then, depending on how dark their hair is, you actually see the enlarged pore, P-O-R-E, that the hair springs out from. Kind of like a doll. I mean, they used to do that back in the day, the dolls, and then I mean, I wouldn't, but whatever. I've seen it done. But instead, it was more like he had a makeup artist put a second skin over his head, and then, like, makeup artist it in to look natural. I mean, I didn't say anything, but I did notice it. But then he changed throughout the night. I think there was either 3 or 4 Eric changes. And then I have one standing in front of me naked, and he's like, hold on a minute. And he's leaning against the wall. He's like, don't you want to stare at me? I'm like, no, actually, I'm like really uncomfortable right now, because like, I don't like standing exposed naked in any room. So I don't know why the two of us, you're leaning on the wall and I'm standing. He's like, right. He's like, what if I talk to you? And I'm like, that's gonna, like, no, I'm just not okay. Like, but it was skinny Eric realizing he was the wrong Eric, waiting for the millionaire hottie Eric to pop into character, same way, but he never showed up. Then I had a slightly more flabby version, but only by slight. It was less defined in the pectoral region. See, I don't need to do like a full scan. Like, because here's the thing. I have what's called a born neon, which melts into another. In human realm of scary places, but that you need to rely on, I call it a pebble. P-E-B-B-L-E. I'm pebbles. Somehow, they are disconnecting the pebble from the shrinky-dink is what I call it, S-H-R-I-N-K-Y, D-I-N-K-Y, well, D-I-N-K. So, like, I could have millionaire hottie, gorgeous Eric from the gym, from the World Gym in Ronkonkoma, that Brendan saw also, by the way, for a reference that I'm not crazy. And he was several times on the machine next to me. I'm not much of a talker, but I did notice him. But anyway, so then that makes Cup of Joe upset. He sat there for like, I don't know, weeks, if not months. I didn't even say hello. Yeah, here's the thing, guys. You have no, like, to King Cobra, like, or Cobra, like, you have no heat signature, because I'm not expecting you, and the planetary anatomy looks like that. So it depends on what's stringing. I mean, I'm the center of it. I'm the one who's supposed to pick up on it. It's my system. So they're popping the pebble out of the, say, Eric, and then they're putting his spiritual signature, I don't know where, in time and space, and they're sending me his shrinky-dink. So it's just his skin. It's... all right, okay, I think somebody called it an onion skin, but that got confusing because then that led to an imagery of, right, and I'm not doing that. So I'm giving you weird names. He's a shrinky-dink because he's tall and he's like a rhino, like, elephant. He's like a bull elephant. So I call them gladiators, honestly, because I'm glad they're there because they protect us somehow. And they have like the inner, and he is as white as I am, but like, again, Joe, Cup of Joe, just so you don't get upset because you're a little darker than he is. Not as dark as Brendan, but you're darker for Reich, Stag, and white supremacy standards in Michael Hewson. Eric would be the eggplant Burza storm, like on the inside, like he has that, like, right, that is like the most beautiful characteristic for a woman, because it's not like I'm gonna like physically abuse you. It's just like if we're out and like all shit hits the fan, like stand behind me and I got this. That's it. But not like he's looking for trouble. It just like if it happens, like we're good, we're safe. That's all. Right. So, because I know, like, a couple of Joe's people, they're like, wait a minute, like, are you talking like Mulian? It's like, listen, you soprano, like, wise guys, like, tough guys, like, if I give you a definition, it's listen to what it's regarding. It's regarding a uber white guy in the highest level of white supreme genetics in alien technology. And it's his inner brewing storm, like if you're standing on the shoreline watching and you're going to paint something, you need words. Great. So it has nothing to do with decolor of your epidermis, your dermal layer down to your subcutaneous on a four-letter word called SKIN for a human on Earth. Got it? Okay, great. Now that we cleared that up. So anyway, that's Eric. Eric has darker hair. I am wondering if Eric and Johnny Lasagna are somewhat the same, just because Johnny Lasagna was way more forward and forthcoming. Eric was more like his pebble was either removed or tuned down, or he was wearing someone else's, for however that scary process works. Because like my bore is supposed to, like my born, Nicole, is supposed to tune and pull into whatever pebble they're wearing. And there's not many that have these things, but I have listed my approval list of who's allowed to wear one, because it's just me and Niklaus, and there's only 3 genetic looks. There's Eric the Millionaire Hottie, there's Michael Hewson, and there's Alexander James. That's it. And Alexander James, by the way, had one for a little bit and then he lost his. Or they tuned it down, and I don't know whose he's wearing or what color. I mean, it's a process. I'd have to look on machine for it, which I don't have access to. All right, so that's that. Now, there was in the genetic department, so we didn't have multiple suitors and confusion between sons and mothers and who was coming first, because there's a line of body order within the alien genetics department. Normally, Michael Houston's like a combo, but let me tell you something. My image of him on Lavender on planet Earth, when him and I actually were in the moment, both Pebbles and in genetic, so there's Reed, that like hunger and like that drive, that is the born in pairing. My only question is, I then saw him in a Home Depot, like almost a decade, like, I don't know, right before I don't know, things shifted. And then I saw him, but his forehead was flat, like a flat forehead. It was the weirdest thing. And I'm going, it's like 6'2", right? Okay, I belong with 6'5", that's for sure. So, and Michael, I swear, looks like my son. I have a picture of in Reich Energy Management. In Reich Energy Management, I have a boy by the name of Jimmy sitting at my kitchen table, but it's in Timeless, and he's watching over himself and his mother to make sure that the father, the 6'5" father with the correct, is being led in the correct, and if anything deviates, to document and to emergency broadcast to whatever department has it. kind of watching over us. That was the image, the scene, which we call, let me think about this. Okay, before it goes into works, it's the dream state realm work of what could be ahead. So this way, all of the mistakes are fixed well before time, so they never hit the purple, which is the earth that we actually live through the moment, since I have that many breaks at the moment. And so, let me think about this. Okay, so that's what Jimmy was, and that's what Jimmy would call from. So he's Jimmy in that one realm work. Then I have a Michael, then I have a Benjamin with no last name in a uniform with a bag, like a greenish duffel bag, almost like a canvas, they call it dungaree when it's on the mast on the sails, but like that material. And he's putting it down in some room, and I'm sitting underneath a window, kind of like this, because it's his first day, and he's not sure where I am and how everything's working out. I call that cosmic boot camp. I don't have another word for it. Like, he showed up for cosmic boot camp in his uniform, COSMIC. I mean, he's my cosmic nursery. I have several orbs, ORBS, alien life forms that I bring through into Earth that do special work. I mean, normally we don't have to go this crazy, but there's people on machines studying things and creating like movie-like scenarios that are now have to be reported and are getting argued over. I have a scene between, if I call it, we're gonna stay with Saint, Lieutenant. I know Saint is normally like a Brendan Burns color for Archipelago. Get off of that for the moment. I'm using this one per se, and you go back to having your special speech. But Saint being this color, I called him Saint, Lieutenant, and I being Lucy Lou. He was my King Cobra, and for that matter, I was, I guess, his camel, which is why I was sitting next to it, because there was a question about how little I was going to be able, like, if he stayed that age forever, would it matter if, like, he was my caretaker, my handler, and I grew into wife, and he stayed the exact same age? Because that's what it was over. All right, this is emergency broadcast for the entire Earth, planet, and the breathing apparatus. When I came to be in 1980, okay, I have a DOB that they threw me here. DOB of 831978. That is a cutoff for fixing something that we cannot speak about in public, but here I am because you did nothing to help my situation. In fact, you had the equipment operators paint me into being a pothead, a drinker at a bar in a pub, like shaking my ass, like up on like spring break, being half naked, scaring the hell out of the other half of the world that won't take a sheet off to leave the house. I mean, it's like, you guys are a real bunch of fucking shitheads. I fucking hate you all. Clear? Great. None of you are better than the rest. You're all fucked with my system. Causing this, by the way, in an area where I don't give a shit. So, I just want you dead. You don't sign things I need, you die. It's that simple. Too many people's lives depend on your job that nobody knows about and nobody can get a hold of. And when you don't do your one job, you're so fucking dangerous, it's scary. But in real life, you're so haphazardly insignificant with your needs, wants, and desires that you are dangerously significant to the rest of us if nobody can keep you in check or kill you. So anyway, that's why we have the process of kill first. Nobody's asking questions later. If they were important, it was a mistake, I'll bring them back. But whatever, that's a question for another state of I own it. I'm the gatekeeper and that's it. All right, so now I've got, all right, so if I am seated on the lap of my whatever in private whatever, which never happened, but I know one of the sickos was bringing that fact up. It's like, and then scaring the fuck out of it's like, listen to me. There's one me, there's one him. Stick to that. I have cosmetic and I have cosmic children with spiritual orb I need to bring into this world, but I cannot do that until I fix the mother-father problem of my one situation to then solid and seal the ability for anybody else to have shit jumping around and causing more than that. Do you understand? That was enough of a project to fix. Within Quiet Place, if you had gotten your human job right of getting my little girl to whatever I was in St. Lieutenant Lucy LUTE, coming off of a camel that I was riding, and he's in black wool turtleneck in the desert, ARID, in arid climate, with black cargo bay side pants for his Lucy LUTE, who is blonde as anything and has 2 braids and looks very Gunder, Gunder, to kill all of the further questioning and to have the signatures on the legislation so we can move. Instead, that never happened, or happened, and then other things happen. Here's what I know for certain. There's an emergency broadcast system of communication. All of global special ops have a emergency phone number that they call, and then it's like a alien system unto itself, and it routers and it finds the people, and whatever number they're at, published or unpublished, it finds them somewhere in whatever. That's the system that I was using at Reich or a.k.a. level in order to get my marriage correct from the beginning. I said, if you find him an image and he's 30, right, and he's pulling me off a camel and I'm only like 5, 6, great. Marry us right there on paper. That's who I want. And if I have to be raised by him and whatever we do, we do. It's our family. That's it. I cannot afford to wait a second because I didn't want this face, this moment. This can be wiped off the board. This never had to happen. If you had gotten my little girl off the camel and being held by cargo, black, cargo, bay, side, pants, man, with black turtleneck in desert, arid temperatures, for that moment, that was it. That's all you had to do. And then we could have fixed the system. Instead, I have